Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back with another film review. Today, we are going to take a look at The Shadow Strays. This is a Netflix film, and IMDb gave this a 6.5.
That's kind of low. I don't agree
That's
with that. That's kind
come
of low.
on, dude. This is an Indonesian film, right? The director, I've been reading up
Mhm.
on this director. This guy is his name is Timu to I'm gonna butcher his name up. I'll just say his first name, Timu or
Yeah.
Timo,
Doesn't he
right?
do horror movies? I've heard that name before. I'm,
He
I'm pretty sure
does
he does like horror
horror
movies.
action flicks, show.
Okay. Because
Yes.
I hate horror movies. I don't watch
Mhm.
them. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But like, he did a good job. Like, there's some scenes in this movie that I'm like, some cinematography right here. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
Like the thing with the bat, that stuff in the parking garage. Like,
Mhm.
there's a couple scenes there. I was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
all right then. Okay, this is kind of clever. It
Well,
was it was it was unique.
this guy, I mean, like, listen, there are people out here who follow this guy. There's another film he did that
Mm,
Netflix picked up called The Big Four. It's also on Netflix. I just said that. And
okay.
it's just as action filled, the whole nine. But
Mm.
6.5 is very low.
That's very
Um,
low. I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, maybe a 6.5 because it was so long.
Well, okay, this is the thing about this movie is it's not perfect. There's
Yeah,
things that I would
at all.
adjust.
Mhm.
I definitely agree with you on the length. The movie's too long,
Yeah,
and it's doing this because like the story is about an assassin that gets bored. Basically, that's what happens. The assassin
basically.
gets
Mhm.
bored
Mhm.
and decides to go do some freelancing work, and gets into trouble because of it.
Yeah.
So okay, like I agree that the main story is the assassin story, and then story B is the do-gooder helping out my neighborhood storyline,
Mhm.
which both of these could have been trimmed down a little bit.
It's a lot.
Okay, a lot,
For real.
a
Come
lot.
on.
But it didn't. Okay, when I was watching it, I wasn't like, "Oh my god!" But looking at my watch, like, "Oh, well, what time is it now?" Like, "Oh my god, I can't do this."
Mhm.
It was fine, but had he trimmed this down a little bit, both storylines, the movie would have flowed a lot better.
A lot better.
Like
And
I would say, like, because we were talking about this offline. Like, this is in the John Wick style
yeah.
of
Mhm.
filmmaking,
Mhm.
and John Wick 1 is a perfect movie. Like, it is literally a perfect movie. Like,
Okay.
you can't get any better than this as far
Mhm.
as time frame, action, stuff
Yeah.
you haven't seen before on
Mhm.
movies, that all that stuff.
It's
It's one
less
of
than
those
2
type of
hours
movies.
long. It's like an hour and 45 minutes long?
Yeah, it just once it starts, dog's gone, boom, 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 it just goes. But like this movie here, the storyline with the kid and all this other stuff, I'm like, it was there, it was interesting. I mean, I get it was there for motivation and for plot beats, but I just thought had you cut down a couple scenes, maybe got rid of a couple of characters, it would have been better served. But action wise, it was great. Like
Oh,
it was really solid action wise. It was very strong. It was
I
very
mean,
very strong. You have to have the right sensibilities to watch this movie. I'll put it like
yeah,
that.
this so here's the thing about the kid, right? And no
Mm,
shade or nothing like that, but the kid was not needed. The kid was just not needed, dude. He was not needed. The mother dying and her becoming attached to the kid gave her an
mm,
end to the corrupt gang, the criminals, right?
yeah,
So I'm just
yeah.
guessing, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so if you got rid of the kid and the woman,
It would have to be like happenstance that these guys are overlap each other. Like the
well,
reason why she's even doing any of this stuff is because of the kid. But I think it's the emotional thing. That's why like you start feeling sorry for the kid and the
mhm,
mother because she's a drug addict. Like
yeah.
you're supposed to. It's the tug on the heartstrings. That's what it's for.
Mhm.
Like it's a downtrodden kid going through everything really bad. His mom just died, so like it's for the heartstrings. But I don't think it was necessary to tell this story because it's a story about an assassin
Yeah.
who's already a bad person. Like I
Yeah.
was saying, like it's like
Mhm.
morally, this it's your assassin. you've killed all these people's families at the beginning of the movie. You killing people's families. Like I don't
You
I
killed
don't
it.
need the heartstrings to verify why I should watch the rest of this movie. I was in just because of that alone. I
Yeah.
was like, yo, this is gangster. So
She killed the
yeah, I didn't
governor.
need it.
The like guy who
It
was
was
running for
yeah.
governor and the son.
Yeah. But the son was he was a good villain.
Mhm.
With the mask on, we got the gimp mask or whatever he's putting on. Like, yo,
Like
that was
why?
wild, man.
Okay, so but why put on the mask when you're about to kill someone?
Because bro, that terrorizes people. You looking at that mask and he starts beating you up. That's terrorizing, man.
Yeah,
Especially
but
like because he's
mhm.
not beating up people who can defend themselves. He's beating up people that are scared of him.
But the mask was ridiculous because you already tied people up to beat them up, so they can't get away. So it's just
Yeah.
like,
So they gotta stare at the mask while he's beating you up. You can't do nothing about that. Like
yeah, but you're not even
this is
staring at the mask if you're getting punched in the face a million times. You're like down like this, dude. So I mean, the whole mask thing was like kind of
this is
ridiculous.
nightmare. This
The other
nightmare
thing
fuel,
was
man, for
like with
reg
these
normies.
assassins, like they must have been so strong to just like grab someone's head and like squeeze it like
Bro.
until, come on, right?
That dude to go out the way he did was kind of frustrating. I didn't like that. He
Yeah,
went out like a sucker, man. Like
yeah,
the way he killed people just catching them in the face. I'm like, oh snap!
that's it.
And then he took some L's
You
from
know.
13. I didn't like that. I didn't
So the
like that.
main,
I thought he should have been a better opponent.
yeah.
I had a problem with that. Everybody else was a good opponent for her, but that one guy that was crushing people's heads with his hands, he should have been a better opponent in my opinion. But it didn't
So
take away from the movie. It was
mhm.
like it was fine, but I think it would have been better served if he was harder to beat.
So how many years? I can't quite remember, but how many years has she been like an assassin for? Because she's only 18, right?
Yeah, she said like they said she's like 17, 18,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
range. So she got to be assassin like 3 years, 2 years. It
Right.
can be that long.
3 years of
Mhm.
training. She's 17 years old. Where's all the strength coming? I know she's waking up. She's doing
Ah, no,
push-ups on her
man.
her
maybe
fist and
maybe that's the
everything.
drug she's taking. I give the benefit of the doubt because
Mhm.
she's taking some kind of red drug.
She
So
stopped
maybe he's
taking
just
them
giving her
though.
some.
She stopped taking
Well,
them.
Well, I'm saying like she's got it in her system for a
Yeah.
long time. Like
Right. Right. Right.
this is in the span of a couple days that she wasn't taking it.
Right.
So she's been taking it for a minute. So
Mhm.
I'll give you a movie magic and be like, this drug is giving her adrenaline and some other stuff, and don't ask any questions. I'll give you that.
You
But
know.
most of these, we're like talk about women, all right? From
Mhm.
these Asian countries are tiny, all
Yeah, they're tiny.
right?
Yeah, they're
They are
tiny.
very tiny.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
don't foresee them picking up the table and throwing it across the room.
No. Mm-mm.
I saw that I was like, come on, bro, like come on, what are we doing here? If you do stuff with weapons or guns, cool,
Yeah.
but picking a table or picking up a dude and throwing him across the room, nah, I
Yeah, I
can't do
mean,
that.
like, where are you getting the
We're
strength
not doing
from? Are
that.
you like the one guy was like, is he a superhero? Where is he getting the strength? Is he taking drugs? The whole nine.
Yeah,
The
I'll give you the
mhm,
drugs argument.
right.
Sure, you guys assassins don't asking questions. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Fine,
So
but come on, man.
yeah, I mean, she's very tiny. But you know what? The really impressive thing about this movie was the choreography, dude. The choreography
Great.
was
Is
off the
A1. It
chain.
was very good.
When I was reading the comments for this movie, I
Mhm.
would say I may have read like maybe 30 comments, and probably 80% of them was like, yo, the action in this movie is so much better
It's
than John Wick,
fire.
you know?
I disagree with that, but
So I was about to
alright.
ask you, what do you think about that? Like,
I disagree because it's
now,
different type of action.
is it all John Wick movies or just the first one?
No, all of them are A1. All,
Okay.
all of them across the board.
Mhm,
All of them A1. But like it's different because she's fighting with weapons and John Wick mostly used guns.
mhm.
So how he's fighting with guns is spectacular. I'll put it like that. It's worth when you see it, you're like, oh damn, all right.
Okay.
I haven't seen that before.
Wow.
It's spectacular. His aim and how he fights with guns is just it's it's out of this world. So like if he there's a couple scenes in John Wick movies. I think the second one he had to fight a guy with a sword, and I think it's the second one. There's one you fought a guy with a book, and like it's like so like he's basically whatever's around him, but he prefers guns, and it's not a fair comparison because if he's using knives and stuff, it would be on it would be on par.
Mm.
But like she's using swords and he uses guns, so it's not as impressive, but it is impressive because shooting guns are hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's say it's different. I wouldn't
Hmm.
say it's better than, it's just different. Watching this movie, I wanted to see more about the assassins and what they're doing and what their creed is and stuff like that. Because that's one of the things I liked about John Wick is that after the first movie, they go into heavy detail about what his assassin thing is, the code, how it works, who does
Yeah.
what, who's
Hmm.
running things. Like they go into very deep detail about everything. But like
Hmm.
in the director in the first movie said that they had no idea what they were planning. It was just like, here's John Wick, he's fighting, Keanu's fighting guys with a gun. Let's film that. And then the second one was like, oh, we need a plan about what the hell we're doing here and why. And I think for this movie, hopefully they make another one. I hope people watch this
It
movie
looks
and they
like
like
it.
it.
It looks like it.
I I hope they make more. But if they do the second one, they gotta explain it because that guy at the end of the movie, the master dude, like that's the doorway into the world of the
Right.
assassins.
Mhm. I think
And
they
so
call it
I want to see
shadows.
more of that.
Mhm. I think I want to say it's shadows or the shadows. But anyway, so okay.
Mhm.
So when you look at okay, we check out Citadel.
Mhm.
We checked out a whole bunch of other stuff. When you're in
This
these
is another assassin thing too,
right,
like
but
agents,
when you're in
agents.
these right when you're in these shadowy organizations and then you
Mhm.
leave, dude,
Mhm.
you're watching your back. You're like, what's going on, right? Generally, the organization comes after you to kill you. Like, no, 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 you can't just leave the organization. It's just like, you're in a mob and you're trying to leave the mob. It's like, well, you can't leave the mob, right? So it's just like,
Yeah.
once you are a part of that organization, an organization like that, a
Mhm.
secretive, shadowy, assassin type organization, once you are a part of an organization like that, it's very
You ain't
difficult
going
to
nowhere.
leave.
This is your life now, man.
These people who have left, they're the strays, the shadow strays, right? So I'm just like, okay, but you're
Mhm.
not going after them. They stumbled onto the fact that, oh, these people are us and they work for him. How did they
Mhm.
move from that organization to, this corrupt street gang or whatever, right? Or, the police,
Yeah.
because the police was pretty corrupt too. How did all that happen? So it was, again, this is like, maybe that's his style of like, directing or
Mhm.
producing a movie, creating, writing, whatever. But
Oh, well, he has to flesh out the assassin storyline. He's got
yeah,
to tell
yeah,
more of that.
you can't,
You
I
got to go
mean,
into detail. You can't just
right.
leave that as that.
And I think it's also very important. And I think like if Netflix says, hey, you know what, let's pick up a sequel
Mhm.
for this. So he's gonna make it within the Netflix family, right? So, this film
Mhm.
here was at the Toronto Film Festival. Netflix saw it, picked it up. If Netflix says, hey,
Mhm.
I got a sequel, we want you to make it, here's the money. So now Netflix has a little like say so, like, oh no, 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 cut 2 hours, 2.5 hours too long. That's totally too
Well,
long for a movie
that's a
like
deal with
that.
the devil you have to make. Like
Yeah,
they're gonna have some say.
yeah.
But I don't think budget
That could be
wise,
helpful though,
based
right?
on based on how they filmed it, I don't think budget wise they're asking for that much money. And they
Oh no,
filmed it over there. They don't need the money because they're not in America. So
no. It's
I think they can keep the cost down and still tell an interesting story. Because
mhm.
like they had crazy action, but it wasn't over the top that you couldn't do it. Like it's in line with those kind of movies in that region. So I think it's possible. Netflix is like, yo, here's another, because it was like $10 million they would need, $20 million maybe.
Before we wrap this up, just give me your take on
Mhm.
Agent 13 and Agent 14. Her name was 14 and Agent 14, the other woman,
Agent 14 is Looney Tunes. I am
Looney
scared of
Tune.
her.
Yeah,
That's horror film,
yeah,
straight like like horror, whatever, like straight into your veins. That was some
yeah.
freaky stuff
Mhm.
with the braces too. Like, oh, good.
I
Like,
was like,
yeah, like
wow. The
I was like, no,
agency
no,
is
thank you,
providing dental care. I guess they have health
bro.
care and dental,
I
vision.
mean, whatever it is, I was like, I don't want no part of that. I like the how the agency thing's going on. I want to see more of that. Like I was very, just from the beginning, I was like, well, what the hell's going on here? Who are these
Yeah.
people? What
Mhm.
what are their missions? Like, how is this thing set up? who are they killing on behalf of? Like,
Excuse me.
where they getting paid? Like,
I was thinking the
it
same thing.
seems, yeah. I had tons of questions, and that's the thing. Like, the movie didn't answer them, but it wasn't like it was being malicious. Like, I don't care about your answers. It was like this is for the next thing.
Yeah.
We're saving this for next. So like I'm interested in this universe overall.
Yeah.
Like, if they're gonna fight henchmen, they're gonna fight other assassins, whatever it is, that's fine with me. They need to dive into this universe and explain who the bad
Yeah.
guys are,
Hmm.
who's the assassins, how
Right.
this thing works, like where
Exactly.
these girls come from,
Hmm.
what are they doing beforehand, like how'd you pick them, like all that stuff. You need to explain that.
Yeah.
And if you do a good job with that, I'm on board. I'll buy the Blu-ray, whatever you guys got. That's fine. I'm on board.
Yeah.
But you
They
have to do that though.
they have to do
Like
that. Yeah.
I have to stress that enough. You
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah.
Explain your universe.
Exactly, because I mean, when you have these sequels like Extraction, they have two now, three is coming out. But you know what? In
Hmm.
both of those films, Extraction 1 and 2, they started to tell us
Yeah,
what
you're
was going
learning
on with
about
this
this
guy.
thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. In the Citadel, right? With the
Mhm.
Citadel Diana, they started telling us how she became a member of this
Yeah.
organization.
How this
So,
thing works, how the
right,
families, what they're doing. Like,
you
yeah, well,
need
that's what I
that.
want to know.
You need that. You can't be you can't have a film and not explain what's going on. So
Mhm.
hopefully, like you said,
Yeah.
if there is a sequel, maybe the
Mhm.
sequel will explain everything because I would like to see more of this here for real.
Yeah, I'm
You
I'm
know.
interested in that universe. I'll
Yeah.
leave it like that.
So we are talking about The Shadow Strays, available on Netflix. Keo, what are you going to rate this film?
I give it an 8.
Mhm.
Honestly, I wasn't mad at it. I was like, there's some gore in there. Be prepared for that. There is some gore.
Oh my
This
goodness.
girl put some work in, all right.
Yeah.
But the action was fresh and unique, and it wasn't fun. But I'm gonna say, like, as far as like silly action stuff, it wasn't like that kind of thing. It
Hmm.
was intense. So what you were seeing was like really good choreographed stuff, and
Mm.
it was very like entertaining. I'll say, I don't want to say fun and silly, it was entertaining,
Yeah. Hmm.
and it was engrossing. So I'm all in. I like this movie.
So let me ask you this before I give my rating. What would you rate John Wick #1?
That is a 10, my friend.
Okay,
That
okay,
is a solid
okay.
10.
So an eight,
A1
so an
10.
eight for the Shadow Strays. That's actually pretty good if you're giving John Wick a 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the thing with John Wick is nobody knew what it was.
Hmm.
They're like, "Oh, Keanu Reeves is making a movie," and they start watching it like, "Oh my god, like this movie's crazy." So
Yeah.
that's a factor. Like, a lot of these types of things are copying that. They're in the realm or whatever. But like at the time, nobody knew what it was, and how they filmed it was so incredible. Like, to me, it's a 10.
Well, I am going to give the Shadow Strays an 8 as well. If there is a sequel, I think this director will understand that 2.5 hours is pretty long, and you could have cut about 45 minutes out this flick. It would have been a perfect, length right there, right? So you
Mhm.
got to
Yeah.
cut down on the length of the film because it's just too long. I need to know every single thing about this movie in 2.5 hours. And I
Mhm.
was left without knowing exactly who this organization was, a bit more about, 13. I like to know about 13's instructor, her handler, I like to know all this stuff and I don't know any of it. So, I
Mhm.
mean, like her instructor, is there her instructor, her mother, or what? They sort of alluded to that, and I was just like, well, is she the mother or is she the
I
cousin
I
twice
think her mother
removed? I don't know.
died. I gotta rewatch
Mhm.
it again, but I thought her mother died, and
The mother
that's how
did
they picked
die.
her up.
Yeah,
Yeah, as I say, like, it seemed like they picked her up because her mother was died and she needs some help,
right. But
and they're
in
like,
the
"Yeah, you can
end,
work
when
for
she was
us."
in the end, I think because I think she died in the end or something like that. But in the end, she alluded to the fact that I'm your mother, or at least I'm your guardian or whatever. And I was like, well,
Mhm.
how did that work? So I don't know,
They
man.
look like they're the same age, man. I don't know. I
Exactly.
can't tell
They
anything.
look like sisters, right?
Yeah. They look like
Yeah,
they're similar age. So it's like, "Yo, how old are you?"
yeah.
There's no information there, right?
Exactly. So we are talking about The Shadow Strays. Keo gave it an 8. I also gave it an 8. Go check it out. It's on Netflix. Well, there you have
Mhm.
it. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.